Hey guys, my name is Joanna Flores and this is my VBlog 2. For today I have Christian Servant. So, Christian, how old are you?
Hello, my name's Christian Servant. I'm 25 years old. I was born here in Houston. My parents are originally from Mexico.
So how old were you when you what is your first language, first of all?
So my parents speak Spanish, so we just grew up speaking Spanish. And
so you were raised in like a Spanish-speaking household. So how old were
yes.
you whenever you first started learning how to speak English?
Pre-kinder was ESL, so that was kind of like my introduction into English, but I would say maybe kindergarten was when I started speaking
So
English.
in kindergarten was whenever you first transitioned into English-speaking, like an only English-speaking classroom?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what areas of language has been the most difficult for you?
I would say when I first learned English, I remember that the thing that I struggled with the most was pronouncing words. It was so easy for me to revert back to Spanish because that was my first language, and I found myself trying to pronounce words in English like I would in Spanish. So,
What do you mean? Like, can you give me an example of it?
just like the typical like in Spanish we use a hard R, so I would like struggle with like pronouncing some words.
Oh, okay, I get you. How do you think that age has impacted your language learning? Because I know you said you started in an ESL class in pre-K and then you like transitioned, but you were still like relatively young. So how do you think that age has impacted your language learning?
Well, like I said, thankfully for me, I learned English at a very young age, and I think that was the reason why I was so quick to adapt. My parents didn't speak any English, however, my siblings and I, like, we all love cartoons, and learning English while watching cartoons, like, it gave us the motivation to learn and understand the cartoons. So
your motivation was cartoons?
Yeah, yeah. It's like you watch cartoons and you're looking at pictures, so you're trying to understand. But I think that's what helped me.
Okay.
And my siblings.
That's cool. So what language is more dominant for you? Is it English or is it Spanish?
I would say that my second language is more dominant now.
So English?
Yeah, I stopped learning Spanish after the age of 5, and anything that I learned would only come from my parents. I can speak Spanish, but I feel like I have an accent.
So you have an accent in Spanish instead of in English?
Yes.
See, because like okay, well, it's not really about me, but okay. That's really interesting. So you feel like your English is more dominant. Do your parents speak English now?
A little bit, but they never really like took any English classes, so.
Wait.
But yeah, so like I was saying, most of my daily interactions and conversations all happen in English, so I like slowly from the lack of practice I have like forgotten some things, and like I said, most of my siblings all spoke English, so it was just easy for me to pick up, and like I slowly forgot most of my Spanish.
Okay. All right. Are there any things that you avoid saying or writing in your second language?
I avoid actually like writing in Spanish because, like I said, I mainly use it to just communicate with my parents.
So you don't feel like you really avoid anything in your second language. You're saying that you avoid like writing and speaking in Spanish?
Correct. Yeah. So,
okay.
And like I noticed that my grammar's really bad because when I communicate with my parents through text, like I'll see that most of my words are like misspelled. I have to like just pay attention to like spell check and use that to like help me out because I just flat out misspell certain words.
What about like your pronunciation? Because I know you say you have an accent. So do you like? So like, what do you mean by that?
Like pretty much any big word that like just requires like some effort, yeah. I struggle with that. So.
Wow. Okay. How did school and socializing with your classmates influence your second language learning?
Yeah, so I was in ESL class in pre-kinder,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of made things a lot easier, seeing as most kids in the classroom like mainly spoke Spanish
Mm-hmm.
as their first language.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all learning something new at the same time. So no one ever felt embarrassed if they asked a question or mispronounced a word. Our teachers did encourage us to only speak English just so that we could all get practice throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And they would also divide us up into groups based on how they thought we were doing.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so
Okay.
there was kids who like struggled a little more, and she would work with them some more
Mm-hmm.
while we did other activities and stuff. So I think that's what helped.
Okay, so just like socializing with your peers and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you kind of like, did you feel bad back then? Like only having to speak English?
I mean, at the time it was hard, but like I said, since we none of us like our first language wasn't English, so yeah, I think that's what helped us. Like
Okay.
being in an ESL class.
Okay. Um, do you think that, how do you think speakers of English helped you the most in your second language learning? I guess this kind of ties with the last question a
Yeah,
little
it
bit.
does sort of. You know, I think that the most like what helped the most was like knowing that we weren't going to be made fun of by other students, you know. Kids can be harsh at times, and if you get made fun of, that can like be discouraging to someone.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, we were all ESL, so I think that's what helped us. It was like a judge-free environment, and I think that made it a lot easier for me to learn.
So is that all you want to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for watching.